how you got into, music and what was the first instrument you actually chose.
As a kid, I wanted to make a little more noise than I should have. So I started by playing drums at church. I used to throw a lot of tantrums with my parents. Like, I want drum kit now.
And your association with Agam.
So they were looking for something different to add into their album. I just sent a message. All I heard was bzz, 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 bzz.
Hey guys, welcome to the Art and the Culture Tribe. I am DINKAR NAYAK. Today we have an amazing bassist who's predominantly known in the independent scene. He's a music teacher at Christ Junior College, Bangalore. If you're wondering who it is, let's get into the video. So let's welcome Prashant Gnanamuthu. Hi Prashant.
Hi Dinkar.
How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you after some ages.
Yeah.
You've been in the... I don't know when is the last time. I think in
Years, I think 3-4
fandom
years.
show. Maybe. It's
yeah.
been a long time since I've seen this guy. But how are you doing?
I'm good.
Amazing.
And thank you for coming for our
My pleasure.
podcast.
It's completely my honor to be part of this. Thank you for doing this. It's a nice platform to see, or a nice initiative to see that musicians are still valued.
No, I think, especially in the independent scene, I've seen so many amazing artists, and I just want to talk about them. Not just the artists, the sound engineers, managers, technicians. I want to talk about them, about the experience of how they did it,
Nice.
So that's the thing. So, Prashant, let's just get, into how you got into, music and what was the first instrument you actually chose and all these things. So,
Yeah, okay. So basically, when I started off doing music and all, it was more in line with church music and all. So as a kid, I wanted to make a little more noise than I should have. So always wanted to play the drums. I still have that, that urge to play the drums. I don't play it really well. So I started by playing drums at church. I used to throw a lot of tantrums with my parents. Like, I want drum kit now, please buy and all. But somehow from there, it just progressed onto learning the instrument that I play bass guitars now. But with music, when it started, it was with percussions, with all the percussions instruments, and then slowly getting forced into learning to play the keyboard. And then I started picking up the guitar. I used to watch my dad play the guitar.
So dad's also a guitarist?
He's multi-instrumental.
Wow.
So he plays keyboards, bass, guitar. So I used to watch him play the guitar. And basically, when it came to the keyboard, I always used to get whacked on my head and all that, saying, hey, no, you have to play this correctly. Why you're not doing that and all? So that there was like a small resentment towards it, but I still was like, okay, music. And the school in which I studied in, fortunately, there was... Okay, I shouldn't say fortunately. Unfortunately, there were no other musicians. So it was just me. And for any event and all of that, they used to call me, ask me to play for all the events, whatever, whether it was like small scale or like a play, whatever. So I was the only musician available. And I thought, okay, I'll start honing my skills into music at that point of time. But again, the fascination of the keyboard slowly died off. And then when I saw my dad play the guitar, it was like, okay, that's like a little more interesting and all of that. So I tried watching, getting certain chords, watching his hand movement, see, okay, this is what I do, and let me play. So the first time I think I played like a D or a C or something. I picked up the guitar, carefully held my fingers at the guitar, played the first drum, there was no noise. So I was like, okay, I need to get better at this. Who better to ask than
How
my
old
dad?
were you during this time?
This is about maybe 7, 8 or so.
Okay.
Yeah. So who better to ask? I asked my dad, and then he is like, okay, fine, I'll show you how to do all of these things. You can play at this point. And then from there also, like, again, the development of music happened in church, which is like playing a lot more in the church scenario and watching people play, listening to that kind of music, the gospel scene and all. And as the years progressed, it moved from, I from church music onto college and PU college and all of that, there were requirements for guitarists, requirements for, you know, just one musician as such. Since I had the ability of playing more than one instrument, I kind of filled in. And then at about 2013 is when I was in college, towards the final year of college. So before that, as a bass player, I didn't know what the instrument did. It just had 4 strings. It was really long, and so friend of mine from church, because there were no other bass players, he asked if I wanted to play. So I picked it up and I started playing it, and I thought it was like any other regular guitar. I tried playing chords on the bass, which is like how you play regularly. I'm like, where are the other 2 strings? It's impossible to play on this. Then he's like, no, you have to play it like this. And then he started teaching me. So from there, I was just like, okay. I used to come back home, practice on an acoustic guitar, how to play on the first 4 strings and all that. And I was like, okay, it's not very interesting, but we'll keep it in the side. Like, it's okay, it'll be there. And so in my final year of college, we were so in. I studied in Christ University when it was university back then. So when I studied there, we were still part of music teams and all that. And the best way to get out of any hiccups in college and get into the favors of management and all that is to join the cultural team.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. So when you join the cultural team, I feel like they have like one newfound respect for you because you are studying and you are doing something that is interesting. But unfortunately, I never did the studying part correctly. I did the something like hobby part.
Guilty.
I did the hobby part really, really well. But yeah, so at that time when they were looking for musicians, I was like, okay, I'm a drummer. I want to play the drums. I was born to play the drums. I don't play it that well, but I will play the drums. That's how it was. And then I entered Christ College. So from year one, I saw a amazing amount of drummers that came out of that college, and everyone could have schooled me at any point of time at that time. Okay, so any drummer came, they'll come play with the double bass pedals, with playing fast, playing like blast beats and all that. I was like, okay, I know how to do this. And everyone, and then when I started looking at people, are like, okay, drums is fine, but I don't think you can do anything with that. Let's see if your keyboard skills will help you. So there's a band that approached to play for me to play like keyboards with them and all of that. And then slowly it moved from keyboard to another instrument. So I said, okay, I can play the bass a little bit. Let me try and play. You guys see if you listen to it. And then with that entire full band setup, it becomes like you feel the value of the instrument at that point. So it's like, okay, fine, I can try and do something with this, but I was still not happy with it. I was not like, oh my god, I'm going to become a bass player now. But towards the final year of college, we had this one group of friends and all. We decided, okay, we're going to start a band. We're going to do like 2-3 genres of music and all that. We need all these instrumentalists. Just that previous year, I had like another friend who was a drummer, and he was really good. So we did like a couple of things for college for like the cultural team and all that, and it sounded really nice. The dynamic sounded really nice. And then he said, okay, I have a guitarist and all that, and what instrument are you going to play? Like okay, you played the drums better than me, so he plays the guitar better than me. Okay, 4 strings, I'll play the bass. So I started with that, and from that point there was no looking back. With that band, it was more of a there was one Indian music band which was just like Indian fusion kind of stuff, and leading on to another metalcore-ish kind of band. So with that, it was, I realized the importance of the instrument and how much it does to a band when it is there and when it is not there.
Yeah, they say the absence of the bass is always
very, very well felt. So at that point of time, like people also started liking the way I played, and I felt like it was okay. But when I started playing, I thought, okay, let's try and develop on this instrument and all that. And since I used to play in church, it's the same thing. We used to make it very basic. I never used to understand the whole idea of playing multiple lines and all, why it was necessary. But as you move through multiple phases and meet multiple musicians, you learn not just about your instrument,
Yeah.
but another instrument as well. So I have so many situations where people of the two bands that I have, people used to tell me, okay, these are things that you can do. And it was really nice, like, because my dimension of thinking about that instrument was this much. And because of that, it moved a little more wider. And at that point in time, I thought it, okay, we can take this, I can take this instrument a little more seriously and start developing on it. So I bought my first bass guitar. Sorry, my dad bought my first bass guitar when I was in college. It was a Ibanez. I'm not sure which one, but it was a nice blue guitar and all
Okay.
that. So a nice 4-string guitar. I started practicing on it, played as much as I could, and from there, like I said, no turning back.
Crazy. That's like a crazy journey
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Full journey it was. But yeah, I mean, now I'm extremely happy that I chose this instrument for two reasons. One, very few bass players in the city, so you get called for almost all the shows, and so good business when it comes to that. And secondly, it's a great instrument, like very, very underrated. Um like in general, I think like not many people would think about being a bass guitarist because it's not a limelight instrument. Like nobody, I mean, very few, international musicians have a bass player fronting the band and all that. But without that, there's a lot of music that's come now that cannot do without any bass element.
Yeah, true.
So I was really fascinated with the instrument. I started developing on smaller techniques and just by watching videos and all that. And no going back. Yes.
That's
bass
amazing.
player.
So what is the current bass you own?
I have two guitars which I really admire. One is a Cort B5 AS Plus. So that is with a Mark bass preamp. And very underrated company when I got the guitar.
I
Cort was
remember, yes.
extremely underrated. And I got it for a very, very cheap offer. I got it for about 25,000 rupees. But it sounded massive. It had a nice cut through tone without any processing. That is, nice cut through tone. You could do multiple genres. You can play something like from R&B, or if you want to do funk, or if you want to do like a lot of low end. That was as versatile as it could get, and I was super happy with the guitar. I had bought a lot more guitars, but never seemed to like using them. So because everything about this guitar was really nice. And then the second guitar I recently picked up when I was in tour with a previous band that I used to play with, Perfect Strangers.
Yes.
We went to Singapore, and there was this place called Music Connoisseur, and it was amazing. The place, Singapore itself, when you or people don't know the music side of it, or not many people know about the instruments and things that you can buy. So you have like one entire plaza dedicated to multiple instruments. So I went to this place called Music Connoisseur, and one full line of CHIOR basses were there.
Okay.
And I had not heard of this company, but I have heard of the name Marcus Miller. So
Okay.
oh, Marcus Miller's guitar. Oh, I have to get it and all that. So I tried, sampling a few guitars. There was one J style series. One J style is basically a jazz guitar. So
Got it.
jazz style guitar, and I was like, no, this is not working. I want to get something a little more punchier than what I have with the Chord. I like that tone, but it needs to be nice and punchy driven. So I saw this beautiful reddish sunburst looking guitar. It was a Sire M7, and man, what an instrument! It's great. It feels great. It's light. It's not heavy. It punches through the tone. You can do multiple things with it, and so that's my new favorite now.
Nice.
But I can't, I'm not taking sides.
Yeah,
as
not
of now.
taking side. Of course, it's unfair.
Yeah. So I have two very, very nice guitars. I like my wife keeps bothering me to buy new bass and all that to see, to get more
Yes,
involved in this. But
yes.
I said, I have these two beautiful guitars. I do not want to, waste on that. Let me like wear and tear this to a point where there is only like maybe one string hanging. But I don't think that's gonna happen. These two instruments are amazing.
Okay.
I really love them.
So apart from bass, you also manage choirs.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So in college, I was part of. I mean, singing in itself happened, like I said, in church. There was a lot of ideas of harmonies and growing up with people singing harmonies. I didn't know what harmony was, but I could, try and manage to sing in harmony and sing a part and all of
Yeah.
that. So listening to all of that, then one of the teachers from college asked, like, she wanted me to also join in the choir. So I, from church scale, which was small, I joined the choir, which was a lot more bigger. You had multiple voices, bigger voices, and a lot more, intricacy in these harmonies and
Yeah.
all that. So when I was in Christ, towards my third year, I started developing, or at least wanted to develop, the habit of writing harmonies or writing parts, and I tried that with the Indian music team, and it worked really nice. So that was really great. So that part was really, really good. And from there, this particular teacher who was working, my teacher, she said, there's an opening here in Christ College. See, when you get an offer before you complete your exams, no, it's a bad idea. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a choir director, or more like I'm gonna be a music coordinator.
Okay.
The choir thing, since I did it with a team of 5-6 people,
Yeah.
I thought, okay, it's not going to be hard to take that and multiply it into 40, 50, sometimes 80 people. Little did I know it is going to be quite challenging. So when I tried to translate that into choir and all of that, it was a little difficult at the beginning, because of the number.
Okay.
Like with 3 or 4 people, you know that one person is singing a harmony, and you can concentrate on that. But multiply that into 10 people
Yeah.
doing one thing. So it's 10 different voices. And now with a choir related music and all that, you need to make sure that all those 10 people need to be sounding like one unit. Right, it needs to be like one unit, apart from the other people. So I started doing my research with how to train choirs. And YouTube is an amazing source for stuff like
Yes,
this.
definitely.
So I did my research, figured out how they're doing vocal exercises, how to train a choir much better, and all that. So for my first year, it was slightly easier because. So in a college setup, you have seniors and you have juniors. So
Yeah.
I had to pick the juniors, but the seniors already knew what they were doing. So they were there to help out the junior students. So as soon, like when I started developing, or when I started, learning how to teach, it was nice to experiment on these
Okay.
students and all that. And from there, trying to keep adding on to that entire space of choir music, teaching choir and all that. And I've been working in college for about 10 years in Christ. I work in the PU college for about 10 years now. I've been working. So every time there's a new batch of students that come in, it's totally different voices that you need to train. So
Yeah.
the ongoing process of learning how to teach choir music is almost every day.
Okay.
So every day I do, I just scroll through YouTube to see if there are newer techniques in which I can train those voices to be better than what they are
Yeah.
right now. So yeah, I mean, with college and with starting into work with college is where I also started developing in my skills of being a choir teacher. So
Nice.
I hope I'm doing a good job.
And your association with the Agam for
Oh,
the two songs, that was choir
that
arrangement.
was amazing. That was actually very, very. coincidental.
Okay.
So we, as part of college, we have these annual day programs and all of that. And for one of these programs, we had the vocalist from Agam, Mr. Harish. So
Harish.
he came, and he was the chief guest for the event.
A phenomenal
Oh,
vocalist.
he's
Absolute.
amazing. So at that point in time, he was also he was in a CEO position for another big company. I'm not
Okay.
too sure which one. So he had that whole business side and plus the creative side and all
Yes.
of that, right? So we thought he'd be amazing,
Right fit for that. Yeah.
a very right fit to get in touch with the students, to talk to them, to inspire them and all that. So usually for any events in college, we have the choir singing like one song as a prayer song or something, like an invocation thing.
Got it.
So he heard the choir and he was like, he was fully amazed by it. And little did I know that he was looking for something like this.
Okay.
So I think with as I spoke to him and his producer, Hriday Goswami.
Oh, Hriday, another crazy
that's
engineer.
another-
Yes.
These I was speaking to them later. So they were looking for something different to add into their album, and choir was one of them. I think Harish had that idea of having multiple voices and all that, and since he heard, I think he was looking for choirs and all as such.
Yeah.
And here in Bangalore, we don't have showcase choirs. We don't, or at least as of now, we have showcase choirs. We being
Okay.
building up and all as such.
And that's a good thing.
That's
right?
a great thing.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good thing. It's not a very popular thing as of
Yeah.
now.
But
It's still,
the thing,
yeah.
I want these things to be popular,
Yeah, man.
because I know the effect when you sit in front of a choir and you just sit. It does a lot of magic.
If
to
you sit in front of a good choir
Yeah.
and listen to what they do musically. So one digressing from what we were talking about, one of the nice choir, I won't say choir as such, but a vocal group that is starting now is I think they call the Bangalore Men's A Cappella or something.
Okay.
A few friends of mine sing for that. So they have like these multiple choir events that's happening now, and they do all classical pieces, like as in Western classical pieces. Man, they sound so good. It's so different. So coming back to the whole topic with Harish, when he came as the chief guest, he heard the choir. He was like, oh, okay, these guys, can we? So he spoke to me after the event was over and all that, and like, you guys sounded so good, man. Can we work together? That's all he said. And it's not my choir, so I can't say anything. I just pointed to our principal, and it's like, if our principal is okay, we are more than willing to work with you and all. So it was like a bunch of coincidental situations till that point. So I was like, and in my head, I was thinking, okay, maybe they're going to ask and then forget about it. It might not happen. So I'm not going to tell the students now. When it happens, we'll see.
Yeah.
So you don't need to get them excited for unnecessary things. Also, a month later, we shared numbers. A month later, I get a call from Harish, and he's like, "Hey, this is Harish here." Like Harish, the singer from Agam. I came as a chief guest. I'm like, yeah. Tell me. So he's like, remember we had spoken about the choir thing? I'm like, oh yeah, that was like a month back. So by this time, the students are writing their examinations.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, let him not ask for the choir to be part of it right now and all that. So he said, then he's like, how about we work together and all that? There are a couple of songs, but we are still working on it. When he said,
Okay.
but we are still, I'm like, appa, nothing like this is happening now. So he's like, okay, you tell me when it's going to happen. And so I thought maybe they're going to take some time. By then, I'm going to get a fresher batch of students, and they're going to be in that, in college at that point in time. Little did I know, 80% of the work was already done. It was just the choir thing that was pending. And Harish was like, so we have these 2 songs that you have to work on, and we want to try and record in a month. And by that month, the students have gone for vacations and all of that. So I said, maybe that point, I don't know if they'll be available. Can we push the dates a little more, like towards the end of the month or beginning of next month. He was like, yeah, we'll do it. I'll just speak to a producer and see if that's possible. And I didn't know the magnitude of what was happening with this
Yeah.
album. Like, they were going full out, had the band being recorded, they had Indian percussion, they had a string section
Yes.
from all the way from Kerala.
Yes.
And it was so nice. Like, and like none of this even came into any of the picture. He just said, I wanted record choir.
Correct.
So I had no idea what he was looking for and all that. So he sent me a couple of references. Like, okay, let's work on this. And then he sent me references from a couple of Dream Theater songs, because I think Dream Theater is one of their biggest influences and all. So he sent me a couple of some live video of them having an actual choir and performing. So he sent me 2 songs, Manavyala, which is Mist of Capricorn, and a song called Rangapura Vihaara. And I heard it and I'm like, what do you want me to do on this? I can't do any, like, I didn't tell him. It was
your
in my mind. I'm like, first of all, it's classical music, as in Carnatic classical, and then you have like some heavy riffing, you know, stuff and all that. There is already so many elements that's happening. What can I do to make it a lot more different? Okay, so I asked him, I was asking them, the producer, Hriday and Harish, what exactly are you looking for? So fortunately, I think they were working with another choir at that point in time. So they that choir was not available at later point of time. So they sent me a couple of recordings, or at least an idea of what they were looking at.
Happen.
So from there, I'm like, oh, thank God, work is made a little more easier. And I made full-fledged parts for the entire song.
Okay.
And Hriday, being the amazing producer he is, he listened to it and he's like, everything is nice, but we are not going to do the full song.
Correct.
Just cut, and
place
only these things and all that. So I got the final thing. Now it was just a matter of getting students. This is vacation time. So usually for students, vacation means go home, chill with their parents, wake up late and all that. And I was like, okay, where am I going to get so many singers from? And I'm like, okay, fine. There's no harm in asking. I just sent a message on our group for the college. And like, this is the entire magnitude of things that are happening now. How many of you are interested? I kept the phone down. All I heard was bzz, 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 bzz. I'm like, sir, I want to come. So
of course,
I thought
it's Agam, right?
Yeah, and like, unfortunately, I would say unfortunately, out of the 50 to 60 people who wanted to come for this, there were only about 20 people who knew who Agam was and all that. So, but they were very interested to do choir recording for a bigger scale and all that. And I was like, okay, come, let's do this. So, and the next challenge was to find a studio.
Yes,
So,
I was about to ask, like, how many people were there in the choir finally?
I'm guessing about 40 people.
40?
Yeah, because there were 50 or so that were, that were interested, but we couldn't accommodate all of them. They were not able to come because of vacations and all of those things. So we had about maybe 30-40 people that were there who came in. So again, to find place and all of that was quite a challenge. So they were looking at some place which was really far off, and I was worried about transportation and taking students and going. And these are all students who are between the age of 17 to 18.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of responsibility for one person to handle so many people and transport them back and forth. Fortunately enough, Christ University, being Christ University, has some amazing stuff, equipment and all of that. And they have this place called Concept Design, like a room for Center for Concept Design.
Okay.
So that's like it's like a podcast room, but they also do multiple live TV airing or multiple shoots over there, and they have a big enough studio to record voices and all. So I went and spoke to the head of the department for that concept design thing, where we could have recorded, and I spoke to the band also, and the head was like, man, why not? Let's do it. he was like full enthusiastic about it. He was much more enthusiastic than me. He's like, yeah, let's do it. We'll figure it out. How many
That's
days do
nice.
you need? That then we gave like a realistic time, and we asked for 2 to 3 days over the weekend or something. And the staff who was working in the university also, whoever was in the place, the recording studio,
Yeah.
they were not supposed to be there, but they either way they came, they helped us set up,
Okay.
and we recorded all 40-50 people over there in that
Nice.
space. And in that, it was a big enough room, it was really well done. Hriday came in, he checked the place to see if it was,
Hmm.
if you could record. He was like, come on, let's do this. And the staff, the head of the department, Father Biju, he was like, come, let's do it, let's
That's
do it.
great,
And
man.
he was super enthusiastic.
That's
So,
a great support system.
yeah.
Amazing.
So, and because like he was the vice principal
Hmm.
also, and he thought it's going to be a great platform for our students. So they were management was happy, band was happy, choir was happy. Just had to bring three happy elements together. And yeah, so we started doing all these recordings, and I thought, okay, man, this is going to be a tedious process and all that. And this is where the producer, like a producer, this is where a producer is a godsend gift. He came, he's like, don't worry, I'll tell you what you need to sing, you can be there. And he said, you can try and conduct. We ran through parts and all of that. He made me conduct. And the only hiccup was we didn't have too much outputs to give to the students,
Got it.
as in
For
like
the
for
reference,
them to
yeah.
reference to listen to. So we had to at that point try and work to a point where I would listen to the reference and conduct as such.
Give them the cues,
Yeah, give them the
basically. Yeah.
cues. And somehow that entire process just worked smoothly. And when the first song we did was Mr. Capricorn, it worked amazing. They were happy. They took all the bits that they wanted. And 3 days actually, 3 days of recording was done. Process was as smooth as ever. Students were happy, and then they all just went back. And after that, I didn't hear from the band for a long time, so I didn't know if they put stuff together, if they didn't put stuff,
Okay.
or if they took it, they didn't like it. I mean, it's not necessary that they have to use it and all that.
Yeah.
They might have had a different
Thought process over the-
they
yeah.
might have decided to
Possible.
take it out or not. Suddenly, I think I get a call either from Harish or from Praveen, the guitar player.
it.
So he's like, hey, the songs come out really, really well. So even when we were practicing, Praveen and Swami, the the keyboard player, they came into our rehearsal space. And it was like watching kids at a candy store. So they came and they heard what we were doing and all of that. Suddenly, Praveen was taking a video of us practicing. I could see his phone move and then his hand come in front. So basically he was getting goosebumps and he wanted to take a video of that. So it's like, hey man, it's going full viral and all of that. Where we want to, we want to also have you as part of the video. That's where second hiccup came. So like video again. So I don't know if it was bad luck or what it was. The students who recorded, they were on vacation.
Okay.
So
during the shoot.
yeah, during the
Okay.
shoot. So not everybody was
Unfortunate.
was available
Yeah.
at that point in time. So whoever was available, we asked them to come. We said, man, this is all I can manage and all that. I'm not able to get more because they're in vacations. If we had got something a little more earlier,
Yeah.
that made sense. So then managed to get a few more people, tried to we brought down a 30-40 piece choir to a 15 piece for a visual setup and all that.
Nice.
But it still looked massive.
Yeah.
And
even the video was
that
beautiful.
production for that thing was unreal. So I think we were at Tamarind Tree, this place called Tamarind Tree, and it was really, really good. We went there. They've taken the entire place and they set multiple venues for this and all that. So it was a very fascinating thing for the students also to be part of something like this.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience. I would love to do something like that again. If,
Yeah, I think
God willing.
people, the new musicians should also try and experiment with choirs and
For sure.
multiple voices, because that gives a huge impact. At least I'm a fan of choirs. So
That's for sure, because one thing is, um, it's very difficult to find, like I said, very difficult to find show choirs in Bangalore. So that means um, you have choirs. There are a lot. So as part of Christ University, they have this Christmas program that happens in December, which is due for this year also, wherein it's only like a choir festival. And so this is like one thing with Christ, and you will be shocked by the amount of choirs the city has. But unfortunately, they're stuck in that just for the school, just for the
Got it,
college,
got it.
just in their church kind of
Yeah.
scenario. So because of that, not many people know that there are things like this happening, and not many of them get permission to do things outside whatever the institution requires.
Yeah.
And it's just within the institution, for the institution, and things to like develop within
Correct.
for the institution's work, which is totally fine. But you should also be willing to
Yeah, I think some
be open.
things should probably change a little bit so that
Yeah. I think it's more to do with opportunity, and like you were mentioning, more people. If you have more people like a band like Agam who want to experiment
Yeah.
with things like this, then it will definitely move forward.
Yeah,
so
true.
like, because like I said, it was good coincidences that happened. Because of that, there was a requirement, and a choir thing was done with Bangalore, somewhere in Bangalore, with younger singers and all of that. More requirements like that, if it comes from
Yeah.
bands as such.
I think right now, what I feel is we've seen the, international artists, what they would do is once in a while they would do a show with the choir
Yeah.
or the,
Multiple
the
voices.
orchestral background. I think that is something that, I want our musicians or the bands to try out and make it a special show, probably on their anniversary gigs or something like that. That, this time we are probably going to get a choir and do the show because it's going to be crazy.
It'll be amazing.
Yeah.
There are actually bands that do that, as in within Bangalore and all that, but it's not in the magnitude that we find in the international
Correct,
space.
correct.
It's not as huge as getting orchestras and like a 20 to 30 piece choir and all that. Like, for example, Brighton and Path, you have them having the
Choral
band
riff,
plus the choral riff
Yes.
coming with them. It's not in a big magnitude, but that is the direction in which
Yeah.
we need to
Correct.
try and move towards. So that
Yes.
means more limelight on moving towards choral music, choir music, and all
Yes.
this, and not just being stuck in like I said, institutions side and all that. So hopefully it happens. Let's see.
So for me, I think my experience with choir was this was when I was a kid and I watched Home Alone, and John Williams did these two songs. One is I think Somewhere in My Windows, and then there was Oh Holy Night. And even till date, when I listen to that, I am like blown away. Like, and and that time I think the recording industry didn't have access to too many edits and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's just that they were so good, right? Yeah. So coming to the bands that you've performed with, to name a few.
Oh God, this is a large list. So, like I mentioned, when you're a bass player in Bangalore, and if you're good at what you do, you get called in by a lot of people
Yeah.
for multiple, multiple shows and all. It might be a session thing, it might just be a one-off, and so I was fortunate enough to play with almost all the musicians in Bangalore, both in the south, in the Carnatic side of where there's requirements for that, in the film music and also independent music.
Nice.
So some of the acts I used to play with is Perfect Strangers, is playback singers like Vasundhara Das, Sangeeta Rajiv. Who else? I played a couple of shows with When Chai Met Toast, and man, can't think of any names. There's a band called Atma that I used to play with, and there's this other Kashmiri folk artist called Haba Hanjura. So she's also quite a big name.
Yes. Yes.
And so I used to play a couple of shows with her, and there's smaller bands like me and a few other people had this band called What's in a Name,
Oh
where
yes,
we
John Melvin.
yeah, John Melvin. We used to do like a more grunge rockish kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and lot of artists. I'm drawing a blank right now to think about the names, but like I said, I was very very fortunate and enough, very blessed enough to be part of a very close circle, and to be introduced into the circle to do like multiple. Uh, what I really feel privileged about was it was not just one genre.
Correct.
I had the
Multiple.
opportunity of doing multiple genres. But after a point, it kind of strains you out because, like, say you have 10 shows and all 10 are different shows. You end up learning about 100
Gazillion
songs.
songs, yeah.
Yeah, 150 songs, give or take. Most of them are repeats. So if you take out all the repeats, you have about 80 songs and all that. And
In a month's time.
in varied situations.
Yeah.
Sometimes people call you in a week's notice. Sometimes people give you 1 year and then don't respond after that. So, I mean, with all those multiple artists, I decided, we'll take shows as and when it comes. Like if it's something which is worthwhile, is great. Otherwise, I'll take a backseat. There are other people, there are other musicians, other bass players and all that in the city who can fill in. And all. So I want, from that entire session musician mode, I've now successfully transitioned into a small time session, but more concentrating towards independent music. So I play with an artist called Sylvester Pradeep. So we have this band called Sylvester Trio. And Sylvester Trio is now working on a lot of so basically when I heard Sylvester Trio, and I know Snehal is going to kick me for this, but the first time I heard Sylvester Trio, I was like, man, they sound so good. I want to play bass. I want to play for this band and all of that.
Yeah.
And
I love Sylvester's
yeah,
compositions.
it's so good. Like you have a nice funk element. It's
Yeah.
groovy. You lock with
And
the
yes,
drummer.
I find his voice to be unique.
It's very very unique. So you
It has a very
like
unique
if
texture.
you like your
Yeah.
blues, if you like your
Oh,
bluesy
yes.
music, he's the man for it. And I was like, man, I somehow I want to play with this band and all. Even if it's one show, it's fine. I'll just play with this band. Fortunately, I got the call from Sylvester asking me if I'll be part of this band, because we used to play with multiple outfits with Aarti Rao from
Yeah.
B Flat. So she
Yeah.
used to have shows where she curates stuff.
Yes.
And then we also had another band with this playback singer called Pooja Vaidyanath. So in that 1 year or so, I think we've been playing in multiple outfits and we've done certain music things and all together. So he called me and he's like, bro, will you be interested? I'm like, interested, bro. And I told him the entire story of how I wanted to push his bass player off stage and take the bass and started playing. He's like, he laughed and all. And it's like, okay, glad to have you on board. So that is the one band I personally really enjoy working with and all that.
So are you guys composing right now?
Yes, we're in process of making an EP. We
Nice.
had a release recently. It's called Can't Break a Broken Heart. So that is one composition which is extremely different from what Sylvester does generally. It's not like a general, that funky bluesy kind of stuff. It's a very nice rock element to it. It's a nice, I won't say melancholic, but it is. It's your old school rock where it's about love and
Yeah, I get
heartbreaks
that.
and
I
all of
get
those
that.
things. So
Yeah.
it feels like that, and it's very different. And the production that we did on it was like next level. We had a keyboard player. His name is Adas Subramaniam. So he added in some amazing elements. We had
He's a wonderful
he's a great
keyboardist. Yeah.
keyboardist. So we had that person uplift that track, and then to make things even more better, producer was like, you guys do harmonies on stage, why don't you do it over here? So we took that and then added harmonies, which made it sound like something totally different. And now that song is like circulating all over and people are in love with it. And because of that, it's like kind of pushed us to also think about writing another EP. And thanks to Sylvester being Sylvester, he has a multitude of songs hidden in his head. He's like, I have this, let's do this. We have these 4 songs that we're slowly working towards, trying to make it tight, trying to, bring in newer elements. And once it's done, I think it's going to be a fresh scene in the Bangalore
Oh, we're
music
waiting.
industry.
We have to get Sylvester on board and discuss a lot on
Yeah,
this
yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
So he'll be a very interesting guy to talk
Yeah.
about because he's had a lot of experience with multiple outfits. And but with the three of us, one thing that is very dear to us is this band. So that means we want to make sure that this band does much better. I was surprised actually that this band was not as famous as it should have been. Like I thought, because of the music they're doing, I thought they should be doing headlining festivals. They should be called left, right, and center. Like, but I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. I mean, for now, we are all hoping for a bigger change, and that's what we all are, looking forward to. And that's, some. But, I think you guys also curated home gigs,
yeah.
right?
So as part, it was not with Trio or anything. With Sylvester.
Mm-hmm.
So Sylvester, Adarsh, John Melvin, and myself, we had this other small band that did like random gigs whenever inquiry came. So we had like multiple. We didn't have too many inquiries and all that. We just had, um, you know, 1 or 2 inquiries that came in, and it's general songs that we already know. So we
Yeah.
we didn't practice as much, but we knew all the songs. So we used to play it like super tight and all. And then once we had with this playback artist Pooja, we had a show that was supposed to come in, and that the venue was not very cooperative with providing us with with the necessary equipments. And when we said we wanted all of these things, they were like, hey, budgets are going skyrocketing. Then they asked us the most amazing question: we have 1 PA and a 6 channel mixer, can you put a full band on it? And like, what do you think? So we're like, that was like about a week and a half before that gig was we were supposed to play the gig. So we were wondering what to do. At that point in time, it was just like slowly coming out of that pandemic scene. So things were not like,
Yeah,
places were
it
not
was.
still open to having a large
Yeah.
crowd. So where Sylvester was staying in Kalyanagar, he had quite an ample space and all of that. And because of that, we thought, okay, why don't we call, anyhow, this is how gigs happen in Bangalore. We call our friends are going to be there, they're going to listen to us. Why don't we do that here? We have the equipment,
Yeah.
we'll just do it here. And I mean, just because we don't have to bore the audience to death, let's call in a few more people. Let's call in a few more artists. Ask them if they want to perform like their music. And we called a few people, and they were like super happy. They're like, "Hey, yeah, man, let's do this." I mean, we had no. I won't say no intentions, but we didn't have the idea of making money. We didn't think that it'll go beyond that first show. So when that happened, we had about what, 30, 40 people in that house.
Yeah. I
And
think I came for one of the concerts
yeah,
as well. Yeah.
so you know how it is.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
packed place,
Yeah.
but people who come there are there only for the music, to listen to the music. And these are artists that you won't find on like on your general platform.
Correct.
So some of the artists have not played their music anywhere else. This was the first time we had this venue. So we called it, since it was in his house, we called it Homemade Sessions.
Yes, homemade sessions.
And we started promoting it. We ran it for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Successfully ran it.
Yeah.
Curated, I think about close to 30, 40 artists.
Wow.
That's over a span of 2 years we did that much. And I mean, it's a now we weren't able to do it for multiple reasons, and slowly like fading out, but we hope to regroup and try and
Yeah,
do
I
all of this.
think home concerts are again a very unique experiences.
Yeah.
Yes, when you watch a band in a big space, more than 500 to 1,000 people, that's an experience. But again, having an intimate session with just the people, the strangers that you meet, and
Exactly.
the musical experience that you feel there. It's amazing.
Yeah, and also when it's a closed space, you're forced to make friends. It's more like that's, and I mean, in good
Okay.
conscious also you have that, but it's great. Like you
Yeah.
get to meet people, you get to meet the musicians in a, like you said, in a bigger space. It's a great experience, but you don't get to meet the musicians.
Yeah.
You don't get to ask them questions about why they, why
Yeah.
they wrote that particular piece of music,
Yes. Yes.
and sometimes that story doesn't even come out.
Mm.
So now because of this, we had so many artists
Yeah.
giving in their music and explaining to us as to why it was, why they wrote the song. And it was just a eye opener. There were so many situations where we saw like there was this one situation where we were, so generally after homemade sessions we stay back for some time, the musicians and other people stay back for some time, and we jam.
Mm.
And after that, some guy who was living close by heard this music, and he just walked into the room. He's like, "Hey, I'm also a piano player. Can I play? Can I jam with you?" So this guy played, and he was a phenomenal keyboardist. He's one of like he did like some really complicated pieces, and like he played. I think I don't remember the exact songs and all that, but he just, his flow was just running up and down, and our jaws were dropped down, and we're like, man, how did this guy even come into this situation? Like we just left the door open and we were playing music, and we found an artist. He found other musicians. So that was like a very nice introduction for him to come into the, so, and now I think he's doing more music outside with multiple artists. But that's to curate something like this, it is backbreaking, but it is worth it when you see newer talent being
Yeah.
recognized.
Cool, Prashant. So, just one more question. What is your suggestion for the upcoming artists, the new talents?
Oh, that's a heavy question. See, I think we're now in a world where social media is king.
Mm.
So everything you do, you have a limelight to portray it to the world. Okay, so it's gone are the days where you have like, good content, good music, and you don't have a platform to put it out. Now you have your social media content, you have social media platforms that are available where you can just, make your content and put it out. So that would be my suggestion to people. um, Learn how to learn how to sell your music more than anything else, because this industry, I feel, is slowly moving towards a direction which is not going to have live musicians anymore.
Okay.
Right? So there, I mean, there will be music that will happen, but having live musicians might not be the future as such, which means you're going to get program DJs, you're going to get all of these, which is great, which is like they're having their businesses also. But to be an artist, to be a live performing artist, is to create an experience not just for yourself, but for an audience who's coming to listen to you. So nowadays, people are very accepting towards any kind of music. If you feel, if you as an artist, if you feel like you want your song to be heard by people, you can produce it, do your basic production, make the song and release it, and if people like it, they will keep listening to it and all as such. So um, I would, my suggestion is for people to start, writing more music, producing their own music, and releasing their own content, and making sure music is relevant, not just music in terms of it being in the studio or on Spotify or YouTube and all that, but being played live. So if you have more venue, like more here in Bangalore, there are not many venues, but you have a lot of artists. Unfortunately, most of the time the highlights that you get on these venues are your tribute shows that are for where you're playing somebody else's music. You're not doing something which is your own, unless you've made it big, unless like it's a bigger, like you're a big independent band and all that. We need to have venues that'll be open, or at least
Yeah.
go back to the stage where venues will be open to host people.
Yeah.
Even if they know they're going to get less than 50-60 people
Yeah,
in their audience, because for many people that might be the first time they're playing their original
Exactly.
music.
And
So
I think yesterday we were, discussing that we miss B flat a lot.
that is a
Yes.
statement in itself. Aarti Rao managed to find and
Yes.
get a
Yes.
lot more talent from and portray it to the world. She curated some amazing shows and
Amazing
all
shows.
of that.
And I think everybody were happy to play there.
Yeah,
Because, we knew what the setup was, it was.
it was not about the money. It was more about getting
the experience
yeah.
was good.
And she made us all very comfortable in that space.
Yes. One of the best hosts.
Yeah, for sure. And now we do have venues like that. There are
Yeah.
a lot of places that are open to having small intimate setup.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of constraints with monetary, with money
Yeah,
things
that's
and all
fair.
involved.
I think this kind of a situation should be worked together. It's not just the artist figuring out, but also the venue, talking to the artist and figuring out
Exactly.
a way. Because we all believe that there is a way. It's just that get into a
Something's not
discussion.
happening, yeah.
Something, because I think we're all so. You and I are musicians. We might complain, to each other, but then let's go talk to the venue and see how can we work this out.
I think in terms of venues, as in like say if you have a venue that's opened out here and somewhere in Kormangla or something, 80% of the time you should also they are thinking about their staff, their money they
Yeah,
make,
of
and
course, of course.
all their incidentals that happen that time. But what they don't realize is if they're opening it out for live music, if you're making a venue for live music, you should also be open to having bands playing live music. Just because there is less crowd, and when you anticipate there's going to be lesser crowd, you can't just
Yeah.
can out gigs and all that such.
Yes, I think you should take this to the factor that some you lose some, you win some. So
Yeah.
there might be a you never know how the crowd would pour in
Exactly,
for a
there's-
gig. Yeah.
And I mean, it's great. Like we are doing these tribute gigs and all that. Which when tribute gigs happen, you won't believe that there are that many people in Bangalore that like that particular music.
Yeah.
The same thing if it comes out for independent artists, and even if they're not, even if they're not famous, if it comes for independent artists, it'll be really, really great. So hopefully that happens.
I hope so too. Anyway, so Prashant, thank you so much for being with us.
My
This was
pleasure.
an amazing discussions with you. So thank you so much.
I hope I
And-
answered all the questions right.
Yeah, you did. And if we need anything, we'll call you again.
Yes, okay. I'm more than willing to come.
All
out.
right.
Thank you so much, Dinkar, for having
No
me.
worries,
Thank
man.
you to the rest of your team also. This is a nice experience. Hopefully, you guys become a much, much bigger deal than what you are as of now.
We hope so
We
too.
need,
Thank you.
We need things like this to happen. Where the one thing I like about what you guys are doing is it's not just about music. It's about the front and the back,
Yes,
which is
yes.
everything that happens on stage and everything that happens behind it. Like you're speaking managers to sound engineer, lighting
Yes.
engineers. I don't think anyone is actually given that much thought in the Indian scenario, at least. So I know it happens a lot in the international scenario, but
I hope so. I mean, I hope this, sets up a benchmark. Let's hope.
Yes,
the best. So,
amazing.
thank you so much, Prashant. Okay?
thank you.
It was
Thank you
nice
for
seeing
having me.
Yes. That was insightful. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. So, hit the like button, subscribe, press the bell icon. We will see you on the next episode. Until then, take care.